Hi everyone, Chris Petri here. Welcome back to another video. I'm glad you guys could come by. Guys, I'm just doing a quick painting here. I kind of already started it, and I figured I would try to explain a little bit of the ideas behind this painting and how I started it. And this is probably, I would say, about 3/4 finished. I like to always say that I like to leave stuff underfinished and then maybe go back into the painting a little bit, maybe a couple hours later, just to touch up a few things that I would, think could use a little bit of, touching up, maybe a couple of shadows or a couple of little small details. But I really like the way this one looks now. This one, I tend to like abstraction a lot. So this to me, like, I almost like this the way it is, but I realize it could use a touch more detail to it. So the first thing I wanted to do is I'll show you my figurine, which is the bull here. So this is the bull that I have. I got this in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They have a lot of great stores out there with all kinds of great figurines of animals and people and all kinds of settings, houses, you name it. They have tons of beautiful art out in Pennsylvania and Lancaster. And I go there usually once a year with my parents, and we always, go to the stores and shops and things. And so I found these interesting figurines. So I'm using this as my my model, so to speak. And then I put this up on a stand on white foam board with a spotlight shining on it. So if you can imagine, this is sitting up on a foam board about a little bit lower than eye level, and there's a bright spotlight shining down on it. And that gives me the shadow underneath it. So I'm putting this back up there so I can finish the painting here. So essentially I just sat the figurine up on the white foam board, put the spotlight over it so it shines down, and then when I do that, I get the beautiful bright light along the top of the figurine, the top of the bowl. And then I also get the shadowing on the side of the bowl. So, as well as the shadow on the underside of the bowl on the white foam board. So it's a very pronounced shadow underneath on the foam board with the bright light shining on top, coming from this direction like this. So that simulates sunlight. So let's say we were out in a field somewhere out west in Arizona, let's say, or California, and we're walking by a farm, and it's a bright sunny day, and the light's coming from the top of the sky all the way up high in the sky. That's how you would see the light. The light would be coming across down from above and then striking along the top of the bowl in the field here and the mountains. So that's what I replicate here in my studio. I put the figurine on some white foam board again, bright light, spotlight on top. And that gives me all the shadows I need, the lighting. And then I just added in, from imagination, a little bit of some posts and barbed wire, and I put in some mountains in the background. I'm just imagining this would be a Western type scene with some reddish brown mountains in the distance and some purplish colors. And I'm using some different paints today, just to go over what I'm using today. I picked these up yesterday in the art store. I think I should turn on some brighter lights here. There we go, that's better. This I got at the store the other day, yesterday. And these are just basically like watercolors. And those are the primaries, so I just use those. They're basically like large watercolor blocks. And then I just wet the brush and go into each one, and I have a little small palette, plastic, that I just keep next to those watercolor blocks, next to my page here, and I just mix the colors right on there. And that's about all I mix, really. It's not a whole tremendous amount of paint, just just enough to get the paint onto the paper here. So now I'm going to do some finishing up here. So that's kind of like the main idea of the painting. It's in the studio, of course, here. And so now I'm going to attempt to just go in and do a touch more of shadowing and some minute details, and I think it'll be good. So I might go to a larger brush. I might do a little bit of sky color as well. I think I'll do the sky color last, and I'll finish up the details here. So here I'm just trying to do a little bit more shadowing. Okay, just adding a tiny bit of color into the field here. And I think that mountain, this could use a little bit of color. I'm going very light over here in this section. It's in the distance, so I'm not trying to make it too much pronounced. Probably could use a little bit of a purplish color, so I'm going to add a little bit of blue and red to give it a little bit of a purple idea to it. And I think I might go in with a touch of sky color, so I'll just get a little bit of blue. And since I'm going to do the sky color with a little bit of blue, I'm going to add it into my foreground here as well. I see a couple details on my figurines, so I'm going to try to capture those. And I'm just adding a touch of color there to sort of highlight that horn over here just a little bit. And I'm just adding a little bit of blue and yellow to just add a little bit of sky color. And again here with the sky color, I'm just freely doing the sky. I'm not planning out anything. I'm just realizing that the sky is essentially, clouds tend to run horizontally across the sky. I'm not getting overly anxious about the sky. I just did a quick, simple couple horizontal strokes across the sky. This is more abstract. Obviously, this does not really, if we were outside on a sunny day, I'm sure the sky would be darker. but I tend to try to visually think what I feel is a good looking overall composition with my painting. And if I feel the colors all seem to blend nicely and harmonize, then I leave it. I won't worry about that this is not exactly a dark blue sky, or the colors harmonize nicely here. So to me, this looks really enjoyable. I really like this a lot. So I'm very happy with this. And I'm going to just do some more details, just a touch more. I'll do a little bit of barbed wire here. These need to be done just nice quickly. Couple just enough to indicate some barbed wire. How do you feel about that? Does that look convincing? Does that look like a convincing scene with some fencing, barbed wire, a nice bowl on the plains, maybe out west somewhere? I think it captures the overall feel. Also, I'm using some new paints, which is fun. Have a different look here. Shadowing really works out well using that bright light again on my figurine across from me over there on my table on top of white foam board. So I get that nice striking light across the top of the bowl, and just doing a few more little details. I see his hide is a little bit, he's got some lines on his hide, and then maybe some little fur. So maybe we'll capture a little bit of the more detail of the fur there, just to make it look a little more. And then I'm following the lines of the actual figurine, the bull. I'm following the lines of his body, so these little tiny indications of fur can also be used for helping the eye to see the roundness of his body. And I tried to also do that in the shadowing. Actually, shadowing will give you natural contours of a figure, a person, or a animal like this here. So shadows are key. They really help to give something three-dimensional qualities to it. So I think this is pretty much finished. I think it looks really good. And I will peel off the tape. See if it looks a little more interesting with the tape removed. It will border the composition here. And to maybe accentuate the feel of the border, I will just do a couple more. That helps a lot to use tape. It frames out the composition really nicely. Okay guys, thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next painting. Happy painting everybody. Bye-bye now.